Hey YouTube, what's up in JT Sauce Game? Here to bring you my review for One Piece. Gear 4th, ladies and gentlemen. I am I am super hyped. I just got out of class. I just got out of gym, so I'm not like I can't physically show it because I'm like really tired. But I digress. I am very hyped for this chapter. I am very hyped for the next chapter. I can't believe Luffy actually has a Gear 4, which is amazing. One can only imagine the kind of strain that it puts on him. But let's get into the chapter and I'll talk about that at the end. So we're gonna start off with the fact that Treble went up in flames, and basically Treble just got one-shotted by himself. So Treble, I think, is dead. If he's not dead, he's off somewhere and is now officially irrelevant. And you have Luffy who takes Law. He brings him over to the side and he drops him down. Now they see the explosion, the Tomatas along with everybody else over there, and they're like, okay. And the princess is like, isn't there anything we can do? Look at that. And Kairos is like, no, I think it'd be better if we don't butt in. And Robin was just like, yeah, we should probably stay here because look, even Trafalgar Law, who is a Shichibukai like Doflamingo, has been reduced to that. And it showed Luffy, who is holding not an immobile Trafalgar Law. He yelled to Robin. Robin yelled to him to throw him down. He's like, thinks it'll be a big help. Trafalgar, he said that Law's already given Doflamingo a hell of an attack. So yeah, drops him down. Doflamingo like, Nico, Robin, don't think that you can interfere in a fight. Law still breathing, and shoots a string bullet. And Luffy hits him with Hawk Whip. Now, Hawk Whip is basically either him in Gear Second using Armament Haki, or it's Armament Haki and the move Whip. But either way, he hit him with Hawk Whip, and it didn't stop the attack. Cavendish actually came in and he used a move and he used an attack to block it. After that, he was like, okay, I was sleeping. You still haven't finished this up? Of course, Robin calls his name Cabbage-kun, which is hilarious. Luffy then calls him Cabbage and tells him to get everybody off the mountain. And Cabbage, or Cavendish, is like, but I've already locked eyes with Doflamingo. Let me assist. He's like, I am counting on you. Now, the way Cavendish processes this is so funny. He literally considers him a fan because he entrusts him and he has a whole bunch of like integrity and all this other stuff. And so that makes Luffy a fan of his. And he's like, a fan's request, I can't turn it down. So that's what they're about to do. But then Law is like, no, 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 no. I need to see this. I really need to see this. And he was like, what are you talking about? That bullshit. And he was like, no, 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 no. I've spent 13 years waiting to kill Doflamingo. And I've done everything I can. I have to leave the rest to Luffy. If Luffy wins, I want to see him beat him. And if Luffy loses, then I want to die right here next to Luffy. So I want to talk about that just for a brief moment and say how much how much loyalty, as not only an ally but a friend. That shows how much loyalty and how much Law believes in Luffy. That shows a lot of loyalty. That's loyalty that rivals Zoro's level of loyalty for Luffy. So there's that. So moving on from that, Cavendish decides to stay. They actually just tried. We actually find out Leo can actually patch up arms. He's good at sewing stuff back together. If he can sew his arm correctly, because he said that the wounds are rigid. So he said that if he can sew his arm back on correctly, then the princess can use her watering can to heal his arm, which is awesome. So in the meantime, Cavendish was like, okay, well if that's the case, then if that's the case, if you want to stay here and you've already made up your mind, I'll stay here too. Well, Robin's like, what do you mean, Cavendish? And he was just like, look, Suicide's not going to fly with me. If he wants to stay here, I'm going to stay here. That way, if he wants to die, fine, but only after I die. So basically, he is going to protect Law. That's the only way he sees fit. If Law is gonna sit there and watch this battle, he's not gonna leave Law without some type of protection, because Law can't even protect himself at the moment. He then they actually talked to Bartolomeo and made Bartolomeo make a staircase with him barrier move or power, so that way they can get down. And Cryos called out to her and said, Robin-chan, he's made a barrier, let's go. So he was like, okay, you need to go and take my coat. She was like, what, why? And then she looked at her back and she was like, oh, okay. Yeah, Robin's back is still bloody and messed up. I don't know why they haven't healed her yet. It seems like the princess and Leo are going to stay there, given by the look that they gave her. Then we move into the battle between Luffy and Doflamingo. So Luffy hit him with a whip. And after that, he hit him with what I believe is an eagle bazooka again. And he told him, he was like, you're fast, I'll give you that, but your punches, you feel like you're tickling me. And he hit him with a move, overheat, and he barely dodged it, and it cut his leg a little bit too. And then he kicked him literally off of the palace. He had to go back up there, and he used a Gomu no Grizzly Magnum. And Doflamingo was not only able to dodge that, but he literally kicked the living shit out of Luffy. Luffy went down. Now, I know I said in my last video that Luffy could take on Doflamingo without that. I'm starting to take that back. I'm starting to think that Luffy is going to need more help than I thought. Because if Doflamingo can take a Hawk bazooka and call it a tickle, and if he's not bluffing, that's some shit. That is some endurance. Now we move on from that, and he's just like, you know what, I don't understand why you don't just give up. Law is already halfway dead. He's suffering down there. You should just let me kill him. And Luffy is like, you want to kill him? Go ahead, but over my dead body. And that's when he starts talking about Dressrosa. He says that, look, Dressrosa got about an hour until it's finished. And about a half an hour, I know there's got to be a lot of people. People with bad legs, old people, and little babies. Who's going to be the first casualty? Because in about a half an hour or so, people are going to start dying. In about 40 minutes, we're going to hear their screams. In about 50 minutes, this entire city is going to be stained crimson red in their blood. And by the time the birdcage closes, it's going to look like a fucking tomato. And everything's going to be silent. It's going to look like someone squished a tomato. And everything's going to be silent. And he was just like, and before they die, they're definitely going to curse your name. If you had never came to Dressrosa, everything would have been fine. And Luffy is like, no, that's not true. It was all a facade. And he made a flashback to where Violo told him that this country has extreme shades of light and dark, and that all the toys used to be humans. And he was like, and Doflamingo was like, he told him, you've been a thorn in my side. And Luffy was like, no, you're the one who's been a pain in my ass. You have, you know what I'm saying? He said that you made my friends cry, you enraged my Nakama, you've messed up this city, and yet you refuse to fall. You're the one who's been a pain in my ass. And you and your birdcage are done. And he said, Gear forth. That's where the chapter ended. This was a great chapter, like I said earlier in the video. It was amazing. I'm really wondering what Gear Forth could be. I'm thinking that maybe it's a armament hockey, a full body armament hockey, combined with Gear Second. That'll be extremely awesome. But we don't know yet. But we will find out. Also, I have to pay notice to a couple things before I go. Last chapter, there was a Kings hockey clash that I mistook for an Armament hockey clash, and they did the same thing in this chapter when Doflamingo said, not Doflamingo, when Law said that he wanted to see Luffy beat Doflamingo. That happened again. So with that being said, that is the chapter. Thank you guys for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.